Welcome to Morris Podcast. Your host, Eric Morris, here to give you wrestling news, rumors, and anything else.
Hey guys, welcome to the wrestling show. Today is the day that I'm going to talk to you about Raw. That's right, last night, March 14th, Raw was not bad, but it was confusing. Like, last week's Raw was way better than this week's Raw, but it's hard to say which Raw was better when every Raw has been kind of crappy. But it started off with the New Day versus League of Nations, and they started off making me laugh. They talked about Bootios, the new cereal. They were just making us. It was hilarious. The match was okay, but it was the beatdown that was great. They actually got the New Day over as a babyface, and League of Nations, or the Crappin' Nations, or League of Losers, whatever you want to call them, they did their job as a heel. But at the end of the day, they still suck as a heel group. They are the worst heel group I ever seen. But they did their job. Match was good. They won by a roll-up pin. New Day wins. And they kick off with a pretty funny, good start to the show. Now we move on to Dean Ambrose match, where he did a good save of of talking about the match at Roadblock where he screwed up, which they covered up very nicely because I didn't know how they were going to handle that since Dean Ambrose is over and not Roman Reigns, which we'll get to later. But Brock comes out, does his thing that he normally does, and Dean cuts a promo. And for some reason, he must knew he was going to show up because he had a crowbar on him. So it's like, forget about the whole thing of what I was doing with Triple H and all that stuff. Now, Triple H did make him look good going into WrestleMania versus Brock Lesnar, but all they did was bury Roman Reigns. And they are pushing a guy that they buried. So apparently Roman Reigns is buried, but they're still pushing him. They don't know what to do. They are stuck, confused of what to do with Roman Reigns. By buried, there's two different burials. There's one where you're burying a guy that you're pushing to the moon and getting buried by the fans. The other one is the wrestlers themselves keep beating the guy over and over again so he will never get that push. It's hard to confuse, or hard to understand, because wrestling is the way it is. You have to be a wrestling fan to know how they push stars, and how they build up stars. So they build up this weirdness with Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose, but it was just kind of silly, and it just didn't make anybody know what was going on. So pretty much that segment was okay, and that was it. So we had Sami Zayn won his match against The Miz, which I'm not a big fan of The Miz, but they really just, yeah, that's all you're going to get from The Miz anymore. But at least we're going to get a Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the IC title, which will be one of the matches that I can't wait to see at WrestleMania. So that was an alright segment. I don't have too much time because I think I only have so much time on YouTube, but I want to say the Dolph Ziggler versus Triple H match was a great match, and then Roman Reigns ruined it by coming out there, and I don't know if it was not bad. If that was Stone Cold and Triple H, yeah, that everybody would be excited, but it was exciting because they push the guy that the wrestling fans have been burying for 2 years and keep booing him out the building. They don't want another John Cena. John Cena was over because he was over before he even got to this spot where he was hated on. But it just didn't make any sense for him to come out so late after the match was over, and it didn't look good for anybody. It just didn't build up the match at all. It just made him look silly. Roman Reigns, just looked like a heel for the most part. All they did was get Triple H over at WrestleMania. They just pretty much, it's gonna backfire in the face. It's not gonna be a great match. If it turns out to be a great match, the ending is gonna be a problem. If you get 100,000 people booing, then no one's gonna go home happy, and everybody's gonna be upset that their WrestleMania was ruined over a guy they didn't want to be pushed. John Cena was in that spotlight because he was liked by fans and hated by fans. It wasn't where he was liked and or booed or hated on. Cena was over because he had haters and he had people who liked him. He was in the spotlight, but people did not want a repeat. That's what we're saying. We don't want another John Cena repeat. We want to be able to choose the wrestlers we want to choose and like. You know, if this is the baby face, we don't want him. What I gotta say is stop pushing Roman Reigns. Push Dean Ambrose, who's over. And that's all you can do. But WrestleMania's set. This is what we got. And then the end of the show was alright. It was Undertaker and Shane McMahon, and McMahon was in the ring, and they both took shots at each other, and Shane flubbed his lines, which was the first time in the last 2 weeks. I think Shane has been out of the business for so long that he kind of flubbed some things up, but, you know, the segment wasn't great, but it was okay. I liked how he did his Shane McMahon thing, so... Yeah, McMahon was boring, but Undertaker was great. And Shane and Undertaker are going to tear the house down, and I think that should be the... But I think that the Undertaker and Shane McMahon match should be the closing of the show due to the fact that Undertaker and Shane are the most over storyline right now. It would make sense to end it that way. I know the world title means a lot, and it should be at the end, but the match is going to stink up the house, and you don't want to stink up the house. You definitely don't want to put McMahon and Shane McMahon at the beginning of the show or in the middle of the show. It should be at the end. It should close the show. Because if it doesn't close the show, and we close with a Roman Reigns winning the world title, you know, it doesn't make any sense. They can't get out of this now. They know they put themselves in a bind. McMahon is only doing this because he thinks this is what he's supposed to do. If Shane McMahon is legit and he's going to take over, I hope that he can fix this debacle. Because the writers can't write, and the people who do the matches, and it comes down to the wrestlers too. All in all, Raw was okay, but it just didn't tell you enough to say, woo, I want to watch WrestleMania. So the Raw was okay, like I said, and they're not ending with, and they're not gonna end with Shane vs Undertaker. They're gonna end with the world title, and if they do that, and this is the way WrestleMania is, it's gonna be worse. Last year was really great. It was a really decent WrestleMania, even though we were scared. Every WrestleMania has been scary because every Raw has been booked so horribly. You know, we don't know what's on the card. We don't really know the matches. And if I didn't talk about certain things, because it didn't matter. I mean, you know, Raw was pretty good. Kalisto and Ryback, blah, blah, blah. So, it was okay. Not pretty good, it was okay. The Raw was just okay. So, if they end with WrestleMania, with the world title, which they are, Triple H needs to win. And that's all I gotta say. Raw, I would give it a 3 out of 10. Just being nice. It still wasn't the greatest Raw I ever seen. It's been up and down the last couple weeks. But you're listening to the Morris Podcast. I want to thank you here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Like us. Keep listening to us.